In my mind, I always thought that in order for a job to be considered like a real job, you had to stay there for a year. I think that's kind of like the threshold, the standard that I saw with other people, like the adults in my life, the older people in my life. It was the minimum amount of time that I should be staying is a year. I guess at some point it got a little too stressful because I was also still in college at that time. Yeah, I did end up leaving in 9 months. It was a little regrettable for me because I my goal at that time was to build my resume, right? Seeing that I was gonna graduate the following year, and so I wanted my resume to look proper and professional, but having that kind of footprint on my resume where I just stayed in a job for 9 months, it kind of made me nervous. Like maybe employers will look at this and think that I'm not serious in my job, but that was my turning point of things got a little too stressful. That was my whole experience with job hopping. That was my first experience with staying at a job less than a year. Anybody want to go next?
Maybe I can talk about my experience. And I think listening to what all you've shared, I think mine is so much worse. And this happened when I was maybe just graduated from secondary school and going into, which is waiting for my tertiary education. So about 16, 17 years old. And all my friends were having part-time jobs. So I thought that I would get a part-time job as well. So I signed up to become a to work at this place called Coffee Club in Singapore. And my role is to be like a waiter server. And I remember on the first day of my work, I was so happy, like, okay, I'm getting a real job and wearing the uniform, it was all white and I have to put on the apron as the server. And as I was going out, carrying the tray, and I remember so clearly, right? And as I was putting the coffee cup, to the guests, my hand was just shaking, shivering and shivering. And then the coffee was just spilling over the edges into the saucer. And there was the cling clang sound of the spoon knocking on the coffee cup. And I was so embarrassed. And the guests, the customer have to take the cup from me, and I tried to persevere till the end of the day, but I felt so embarrassed, that I didn't show up for job the second day. I didn't even ask for my salary, because I was just so embarrassed. So I guess that job just lasted for one day, and I wasn't paid for it. And I don't even want to go back and ask. I guess the good thing is I get to keep the uniform of that. Yeah. So I think that's my experience. And other than that, think I am I've stayed in a job for a while. So that's the one that I remember.
Wait, just curious. The coffee club is like a coffee franchise across Asia. Is that where we had breakfast last year in Thailand, where we
Yes,
breakfast?
that's right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You mentioned the coffee.
So, so it was so bad and terrible.
That's so funny that you had that experience, and then like years later, our team had breakfast there. That's like a whole like 360 journey. It's
Yeah.
I guess it's my turn in terms of job hopping. So, I guess in terms of job hopping, my experience was, I would say, before I joined iGrow. At the time, I was like doing some voiceover work, which was mostly like freelance. So, I get to do stuff like in my own time. But at the time, I was like in my apartment. It was sort of getting harder for me to record because of course I had my roommates, and then there's all this background noise, so it was harder for me to record the voiceover stuff. And so it's a bad thing, but the guy who employed me, he was sending me like all these projects, but I would say I'm working on it, but then I would have like troubles, and then I ended up like leaving that work. I guess I was doing that for more than a month. So I thought like listening at IELTS experience of 9 months, I'm like, girl, that's already pretty long. Because mine is like a month. And then I heard Ben, which was like a day. He stayed in the job for a day. So I'm like, okay, I'm not the worst job hopper here, I guess.